Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Dr. Dave. It is Brenda and Dr. Dave back with What If Positive Possibilities for the week. How you doing today, Dr. Dave?
Doing great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for letting me come play with you in our spiritual playground.
It's always
Thank you.
fun to get together and hang out, and I'm so excited that we're doing this today, and that hiatus and whatever all that was is now gone, and we're moving forward, and we got lots of good things on the horizon. So I'm really excited about the future and all the good stuff going on. So thanks for being here, and thank you to everybody that's showing up today. So if you're new here, I have written a book called What If 365 Positive Possibilities for Your Life. And what we do in this half hour, 40 minutes is I will ask the universe what are messages for today, and it will open to a certain passage. And we just did the Nature's Divas, Breakfast with the Divas. So usually it all ties together in a nice little package between the two. But it's always nice to see how the universe is providing us messages for today and for our week and for our life. So I will get to it and ask what our message is for the day. Ooh, we were talking about this morning before we went on with the Nature's Divas. So that is so awesome. So what if today I chose to trust? Are you a trusting sort? Or are you always looking for ulterior motives and what is wrong with a person? Have you been burned in the past by someone who wasn't truthful and now you are wary? It is definitely understandable that you may have difficulty trusting after someone like that. Here's something to consider. The majority of people in the world are wonderful, kind, and giving sorts. They probably have the same fears as you. Imagine today if you were to let go of the feelings of mistrust and opened your heart to trust someone. Now, if you have that gut feeling that it is not a good idea to connect with certain people, then by all means, listen to your gut. But I'm sure there are a few people that you can think of that you feel are genuine, but just haven't let your guard down. Listen to your heart. If your heart is saying you can trust, open yourself up and choose to trust again. Sometimes we want something so bad that we will continue with certain things, even though we know deep down it is not in your best interest. That is when things can happen which create mistrust. Listen to your body, your heart, and your gut. You know what is best. Follow their lead. Begin to trust the people you know in your heart are genuine. You won't be disappointed. Well, that's a whole big thing right there, is trust. Because it's a two-way street, that trust. And when you've been burned before, you have a really hard time trusting somebody else. And that is understandable. However, and I'm sure everybody can think of some time, because I can think of many, where it's like, I really want to do this. And my gut's like, no, you don't. And I'm like, yes, I do. And it's like, no. And I go ahead and do it anyways. And what happens? It does not turn out well. So then my ego's like, well, you can't be trusting your gut because look what happened. Meanwhile, the gut was like, you don't want to do this. And we chose not to listen. So the ego gets involved going, you can't trust any of your body parts because they're all lying to you. Meanwhile, the only one that was giving you trouble was the ego to begin with, because it really wanted to do something that really wasn't good for our well-being or whatever that was. So when we think back to those different things, it's like, oh yeah, I can remember a time or two where the warning signs were there. The red lights were flashing. No, don't do it. The signs were there and you're like, I'm going through with it. and you went big or went home, and it did not go well. So just to keep that in mind, that a lot of times we are our own worst enemies, and we bring this mistrust on ourselves. But our gut feelings, those are real. The feeling that we have in our heart when we think of wanting to do something or not. Does it feel light? Then it's the truth. Does it feel heavy? Then it's a lie, or it's something that doesn't resonate with what we want to do. So when we reconnect with our bodies and start checking in with our guts, with our hearts, and then our brain is the last one that's like, but I really want to do this. Well, let's look at all the things going on here and see if it's a really good idea, and check in with the gut and the heart, because that'll really tell us what is best for us and what the universe has in store. Dr. Dave.
No, that was awesome. It still always cracks me up when we've talked or had a conversation and how it just all rolls together. And of course, so it cracks me up every single time.
It's that whole circle. It's like, yeah, this is what you talked about, and we're just going to finish it now and put the ending on it.
Yep. When you're talking about trust, I'm going to invite folks to take a different approach. I want, for a moment, for you just to think that you can trust everything outside of you to be exactly as they're supposed to be.
Mm.
And now the trust is how much you trust as you were talking about, that gut instinct, which is intuition. That is the only trust that you need to have. Anyone needs to have, is that we have the ability and the confidence to trust our inner guidance system. Our body's always going to tell us exactly what and where we need to be or do or not. Usually not. But that's the part that everyone's missing, is that you need to trust other folks. No. That is not how this game is played. Not in Earth School. That's not this lifetime. That is not how it's working. It's really about you honing in your ability to be able to trust what you feel and what you get intuitively. And so that's the part that most folks can't figure out, or that it's broken. They don't trust themselves.
Right.
Or, okay, let me segment that. If you don't trust yourself, fine, whatever. We can work on that later. But trust your body, because it cannot lie. It is not able to lie. It is going to tell you exactly what is happening, how you're perceiving something, what your environment is telling you. That inner guidance system will never lie. It will never steer you wrong. Ever. That's I'll say that it's I'm not going to go as far as to say that it's a universal law, but that's what this time space is really about, is about us utilizing the human vehicle that we're in. And so in your car or your vehicle, you learn to trust the gauges that are on there. Most times it's pretty accurate, right? I mean, unless it's broken. So you kind of have an idea, and it's only an idea of what potentially is in your gas tank. Doesn't mean that's actually what's there. It appears like it should be full because it says it's full. When it's operating correctly, it's full. But it's still just a representation of what the potentials are. So if we can then begin to start looking at our, I wanted to say our judgments, because that's really what it ends up coming down to. But our perceptions, and it's only a perception. That's the thing that I want to try to get across, is that it's only a perception. Your perception of not trusting someone, or that they're trustworthy, is your educated guess, they may have given you reason to not trust them. Okay, great. Well, thank you. And I've got some contrast to know how I don't want to do that again. At what point did you trust your intuition? Did you trust it after it already happened and you knew that the feeling was there, like that you talked about earlier, like I should have listened, and now you're going to trust it now that it's already happened and it actually played out? That's the lazy way. So spiritually, put your big adult pants on and start trusting that. And if you're not trusting it, well, then you might want to start really working on how you can trust and get accurate with that intuition and get all of the chaos, get out any of the static, so that the moment that your body says, hey, go. Okay, I'm not asking questions. I don't need validation. I just know at this moment, I need to go. Great. Done. Most likely because the universe doesn't always offer the because part. We might not ever figure out why. In how liberating it is and freeing when we can really just trust that part. We trust that, and I don't need to know why. So if I'm driving and I get an intuitive hit, turn left, that's not the way I should be going, but all right. And I go. I get to my destination, however, and nothing happened. Okay, I'm good with it. Does that mean it was wrong? Nope. If your intuition told you to turn left, there was something else that it was keeping you away from, whether it was an accident or whatever, or it could even be something that you'll never even understand, that your light needed to be in a place that lifted someone else just by merely passing. We don't know any of those. That's the big picture. That's not my job this time. So just listening and trusting that is super important. So I would recommend with this exercise of trust, recognizing how many times that you trust your intuition, because there shouldn't be a separation of you and your intuition. They are the same. So then get to trusting it and looking at if you don't think that you can trust it, then start having a practice of working with it and having literally it's a practice. When I started going through medical intuitive training, that was a huge part of learning how to distinguish trust. And the biggest obstacle that most folks have is the why. Well, why should I do that? Or why not? That's not how that works. Your body said no, or it said turn right, turn left, whatever that is. If the moment that you go against whatever that intuitive hit was, you've now taken responsibility for whatever those consequences might be. And you can't be mad at anyone or anything. You chose to do something different. It's a really fun game when you start working with your intuitive, when you're building that intuitive muscle of, I mean, down to the littlest, stupidest thing. When I say stupidest, meaning trivial, probably a better word. But like, should I have this or shouldn't I have this? Should I have the pop or should I have? I know the answer, but I'm still having the pop. Okay, I mean, it's that kind of playing and fun, even though it seems very trivial. But if you can't, here's the thing: if you can't do or trust that information's accurate, then you do not get to sit at the big kids table and ask your big life mission question of why am I here? Screw that. The universe is like, you won't even do what I tell you about not drinking the damn pop. You think I'm going to tell you why you're here? It doesn't work that way. You got to do your time. You got to use the vessel, the teaching in our the internal guidance system. And if you don't work with that, you're kind of traveling without a map. You're without a rudder. I think there's metaphors about that with a ship without a rudder. Kind of what you're doing. So speaking of, there was There's a freighter that in Detroit that just ran aground today, this morning, like before we. I'm laughing because it's usually not a big deal. It's just somebody's going to lose their job.
Did they get too close to the lighthouse or something? Or
I'm no, our waterway is, you've got to be really careful because there's a lot of it that if you're not staying within the channels, the shipping channels and where it's marked, it gets too shallow. So
oh
especially the freighters,
yeah.
so there could be, yeah, it's
Oops.
a big deal. And it is odd. Lake St. Clair, we're right here at the north part of Lake St. Clair. It's not officially a Great Lakes, it's the mini one. So because it's super shallow. In boating here, you've got to have some skill because you're looking and you can't see land. You're in the middle of the lake and you can't see any land whatsoever. So it blows your mind when you are beached in the middle of the lake because it's a sandbar. It's a sandbar island is what they call it.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
The first time I experienced it, it was what? I can't even see land. How am I standing and it's only up to my knees? It's
That's
really bizarre.
crazy.
So lots of folks spend lots of money getting repairs done. If you once you venture off and you're not actually doing the navigation you're supposed to, I guess there's some pretty
Hmm.
cool metaphor in there.
Yeah. Like, well, look, you've got the guideposts here, you've got your heart, you've got your gut. There's your guideposts, and you're gonna go, man, I'm not gonna listen, I'm just gonna go this way. Well, then you've got consequences. Just like Dr. Dave said, there's consequences to choosing a different path than the one that the universe is like, hey, go this way. You don't want to go that way. Yeah, I do. All right, then. Because we do have free will. So
Absolutely.
it's important. And another thing, and I have fun with this, is I'll be watching like different classes, and not even really classes, but talks and things on different social media channels or whatever. And I'll listen to the words and then go, okay, is this a big fat lie or what is it? And I'll be able to feel it. And it's this really interesting, it's like, no, I resonate with this. This sounds good. And then this other one's like, oh my goodness, how can they even say that on there? So it's really fun to check in that way because we resonate with what is truth to us. So when you're listening to different things, and this applies to like everything, whether you're in school or whether you're in everyday life, and everything, religion, everything, if it doesn't resonate, then it's not true for you. And that's really
Right.
important. So if you hear something and it sits really heavy, and it's like, that doesn't feel good, well, then it's a lie. Your body doesn't resonate with that. So it's like, no, I don't need to keep that. I can let that go because it doesn't resonate with who I am. And then you find something that lights you up and feels very light, then that's what you hold on to, going, I resonate with this. This is something that I can believe in. And it's the same thing. And it's very easy. Once you start tuning in, going, does this feel light or heavy? And it's like, oh, I can feel the difference. Because unless you are aware, you're not going to realize it. So next time, like I remember when I had my store, I had my manager, she'd be out and she'd be out shopping and stuff. And she'd get this, ping, pick up these. And she'd be like, why do I need to pick up these? I don't need these. So one day she didn't. And I'm like, oh, we were rearranging the store, whatever. And lo and behold, we could have used what she was looking at, and the universe told her to pick it up. So next time she went shopping and she got any sort of ideas like that, she always picked it up because it was something that we needed. Maybe not that day, but the next day. So it's just that connection. And it's very trivial, but where I live, we have 3 bridges. So to get across to the other side, you need to go across a bridge. And at some points in the day, it's a lot harder to get across because there's a lot of traffic. So when I first moved here, it was like, well, I'll go down to the bridge that I want to cross because that's closest to where I want to be. Now it's I get across the bridge as fast as I can because I never know when it's going up. And I've even gotten these pings like, go across this bridge. It's like, no, the other bridge is down. It's okay. And as soon as I got there, what was happening? The bridge went up. So then I had to sit there while the other one's still down. And then I turn around and go down. Oh, by the time I got down there, guess what? That bridge was going up. And the one that I was going to was coming down. So, it's good to tune in because we get these pings all the time, but a lot of times we're so focused on, that mental chatter and all this other stuff, we don't tune in. Because as soon as I get to the bridge, it's like, something told me I should have gone across that bridge, but I wasn't clearly paying attention. So that clarity, which we talked about in the Breakfast with the Divas, is having that clarity of mind to listen in, check in, because we're always in tune with everything else. And we get these messages and it's just checking in with them. And it's like, hey, you're doing good. Or, hey, go this way. Hey, you might want to do this. And they're always there. It's whether we're aware enough in order to pay attention to them or whether we're just going to keep the blinders on going, nope, just got to do this. I just got to do this, which is not a way to live because you're like the Dunkin' Donut man, time to make the donuts.
Right.
And that's all you do instead of enjoying the life and enjoying the beauty that surrounds you and all the wonderful things that the universe has to offer.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well said. Love it. I'm getting maybe that there might be a class that folks might need or want, learning how to strengthen that intuitive muscle.
That is a very good idea, Dr. Dave. I think that'll be one of our upcoming classes that we're going to be doing. And for everybody that's just starting, why don't you tell everybody, because I'm going to write that down before I forget it, about our meditation class coming up tonight.
Okay. Well, starting tonight, we're doing meditation at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. And it's here on Zoom. There's going to be the link is already being posted in the chat and in the comments there. Anybody can join us. It's open. So bring a friend, or send them a link, forward it on. It's just a free space for us to explore different ways in learning different techniques for us to grow in centering ourselves. But it's super fun. So it's not one of those monastery monk situations where there's silence and all that. Not that that's not a good thing, because that's some really delicious meditation time. However, but what this is to help folks just realize that it doesn't need to be all of that. It's supposed to be fun, or it can be fun. It's supposed to be enlightening. It's supposed to be something you look forward to. Never, ever should it be something I have to. It's something I get to. Joining us on Monday nights. So, and you can pop in, at any time. Meaning, you don't have, if you didn't make it last week and you have to do next week, whatever, it's all good. And there's the replay, just like on all of the broadcasts that we do. It's a great place for a foundation early to start really learning how you can trust all of the things that are happening, how your body responds, how your intuitive guidance system works for you specifically, because everyone gets their information differently. And so it's specific to finding out what works for you. So getting to explore a lot of different techniques, different philosophies, even when it comes to meditation. That's one of the things that I love, being able to go through and try different things to see, like, whether I'm going to use it or not. Completely, I don't know, but I want to learn how other folks, because then it gives me a better idea how to be able to work with other folks, or how they're wired and how they need information to be presented for them that makes sense to them, or a lot of times, if it's not something, a technique or a philosophy, a mindset, that if I'm not using it personally and I did hear it or sat in on something, I know the universe set me up that it's going to be in there for a purpose. I never question that. When that is going to happen, or when they're going to need, or who's going to need some of that information. Like, oh, you know what? I was just on with Brenda yesterday, and and it was, this conversation needed to happen first so that I can now direct them, because now they needed to have that part of the piece to find maybe peace. So um it's it's a lot of fun. And the more folks that join, um I love the energy that it can bring, because we're connected always. And so this allows us to actually connect in the same, on camera together, if you will, because we're always connected, but it's fun when you get to interact with folks all over. That's one of the things that I absolutely treasure about Zoom, and that we get to connect with people everywhere, And so if they've got an internet connection, I mean, funny thing, because you'd never know it, but Brenda and I have never met in person. But would ever
I
think that's
know, it's crazy.
um, in there's a lot. What that does is it lets you have the comfort of being at home if you need to, because a lot of folks get really intimidated, or I'm going to feel stupid, or I can tell you all day long that it is a judgment-free zone, which is the only thing that I'll accept ever. And I am a bulldog when it comes to protecting that space for anyone. Um, but it also gives that layer of, they get to be home, they get to be in their environment, they get to have their fun blanket or their pet cuddled with them, all that kind of thing. So, and you don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that's great, especially the winter season as we're coming into that. So, yay. The intuitive class coming up, or as it's formulating, we just need to, I want to hear from folks about how they think, or what they think they need to learn, and how, when it comes to intuition, because there's a lot of layers to that. There's so many layers to intuition. um One of the things that I absolutely love doing is medical intuition. And so first, let me tell you that intuition is not a gift. It's not. And everybody that says that it's a gift is crap. They're talking out of their ass. I'm not even going to sugarcoat that puppy, because every human has intuition. You're hardwired for it, or you would not have that coming. Everyone has that coming into the planet. It is that one thing that we all have. Whether you listen to it, whether you act on it, whether you trust it, well, there's the variables, but you have it. If you have breath, you have intuition. Ta-da. So then, us getting to find out how yours works best for you, how it might have, how you might have perceived that it failed you, because intuition doesn't, it's our perception of it. So getting to look at all of those components of how we can help you better work with it, trust it, and what are some of those stumbling blocks that you might have, or when and how do you believe that it failed you, so that we can figure out how you might be able to approach it differently. So there's a little bit of a leap from our daily intuition to our spiritual practice, of being able to trust that intuition when you have those intuitive hits, to jumping into even more of a professional role as a medical intuitive, that we can help figure out what the core dis-ease that's happening within the body system, why you might have some of these physical challenges that you're working through. So there's quite a bit of a spectrum. So, but we have to start somewhere. And so I would love to hear where folks are, and what they would like to see, or that's important, that hasn't been addressed in many of our circles. And what's that? Like, all right, let's get that bridge in there. Ta-da. And hopefully everybody's going to join us tonight at 7.
Be a lot of fun. Absolutely. So do you have any closing remarks on our what if and trust today?
Yes. When don't I? She says as if there's been a time. That's cute. I really invite with this exercise, for the what if, pretend, if you have to, that you could trust your internal guidance system, that it was polished, it was laser focused. What would your life be different today with that precision of knowing that you're trusting that information as your body's feeding it to you?
I like that.
That's all I got.
Mic drop. Well, that was awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. And if you're watching the replay, let us know where you're from, because we like to hear where we're going in the world, because that is really exciting. So whether I go to Europe via Zoom, that's okay too, because
I love it.
one day I will go there physically.
Mm-hmm.
Me go over there. So that's
sure.
one thing I'm looking forward to. But yeah, we'd love to hear where you're from, and we'd love to hear what you took away from this and all the questions that Dr. Dave asked. Like, let us know what you're thinking so that we can create these different classes and things around that, because it's all about sharing our wisdom. And Dr. Dave has been in this for quite a number of years. I've been in this for quite a number of years, and we just want to share what we love to, just all the things that we love, and have a good time doing it, and to help others on their path that may not have the wisdom or the knowledge that we do at this point, but taking these courses or learning from us, you get there a lot quicker, because you get the whole background of the mistakes that we've made. You don't have to make those, because we can give you that shortened version, shall we say.
Absolutely. Yeah, we did the time.
Exactly. So have a wonderful day wherever you are. Have a wonderful week, and we will be back here. Well, we'll be here tonight for the meditation class, and then we will be back here on Monday morning with the Breakfast with the Divas and What If. So hope to see you there.
Have a great week, everyone. Thank you.